Today is eviction day. These plants, y'all, are about to be evicted from my house and go into the ground. Welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara. I live in Tennessee. And y'all, for the last 14 weeks, I have been starting seeds. I have been taking care of seeds like I'm a seed parent. And today, it's time to kick them out of the nest, meaning my house, and for them to go in the ground. If you're new here, I'm so glad that you stopped by. You picked a fun video because today we are planting the summer garden in our outside garden. So I'm so glad that you're here. If you're new, please say hello in the comments and let me know what city and state you're coming in from. If you've been here before, you know I've been talking about eviction day, and today is eviction day. So let me kind of give you the context of what we're doing today, and I'm going to show you the process from beginning to end of how we literally take our plants and plant our 4,000 square foot outside garden that is in ground. So I am in the state of Tennessee in zone 7B. It is the first week of May, and today we are going to be planting our outside garden that is in ground. That space is 4,000 square feet. We have 8 rows that are 100 feet in length each. And so we are having a planting party today. So let me kind of, if you're new to my channel, let me kind of give you an overview of the spaces that we have and that we garden in. And so we have 3 main garden spaces here on the homestead. The very first space is our high tunnel. It is 30 by 96. We have 6 raised beds that are 4 by 8. And then we have 5 rows that are 45 feet each in length. And so that space we garden in all year round, 365 days, 24/7. There is always food growing in the high tunnel, and we can harvest every single week. So that space for the most part is about 90% planted. We started that back about 4 weeks ago, planting out the high tunnel. Because it's covered and it's protected, we can plant that a lot sooner. But our second space that I want to talk about today that we're planting is our in-ground garden. We only garden there in the summer. And so it's 4,000 square feet, like I mentioned, and it is our biggest, well, I shouldn't say the biggest because it's actually the same square footage almost as the high tunnel. But we only do it in the summer, so it's a big deal, and it's all in ground. Now, I will tell you that as you get older or you get more mature, getting down on the in-ground, it's not for the faint of heart, but I absolutely love growing in ground. And so while I can, I do. But today I have friends coming to help me plant the in-ground space. And I'll talk to you about that. So that is our second space where we do a lot of our summer veggies and crops and things out there. And then also in that in-ground space, we have started to build a perimeter of raised beds along one side of it. And we also use that as additional space during the summer as well. And so we have potatoes, onions, and all stuff like that growing. And then our third and final space is where I'm standing right now. And believe it or not, this is where my garden started, right here in my backyard with 4. It started with 4 raised beds. Now I have 5 raised beds back here. And we usually garden back here in the summer and in the fall and the spring. Not really winter per se. And so in the summer, this will be the last space to be planted. We will plant this space out for the summer crops, usually around mid-June, because right now it is housing our garlic and our onions that we planted in the fall. So those are our 3 spaces, but today is all about the planting party. And before we jump into that, my husband just pulled up back here. He came to get some of these plants that's about to go to their forever home. I.e. not my house. And so let's get some footage of us getting the plants loaded onto the truck, and then we'll talk a little bit about what the planting party is and how we do it. Planting day is always one of the most exciting days of the season because literally, y'all, for the last 14, 15 weeks, we have started seeds, and each week the seeds have multiplied. They've taken up more space in the house. They've taken more time. And now when it's time to plant, it almost feels like it's a part-time job. But I'm so excited on this particular day to get these plants out. Now, in terms of the weather, it is a little cool this morning. It's like 65 degrees. Well, no, it's not even 65 degrees yet. It's like 50-something degrees. It got really cold last night, all the way down to 42. So you're thinking, man, is it really good enough temperatures to plant? Well, it's going to be today. The rest of the forecast past this time looks okay for the next 10 days. And so although it's not ideal, you will want the temperatures to be a little bit warmer. The truth of the matter, they've already been out here in the 42-degree weather. So it's going to be just fine. But me and my husband take time to load up the truck and put on as many trays as we can on his truck. I think we end up with at least getting 10 to 12 on there, and then there's still some that are left that I'll bring down at other intervals or later on today. But it's good to see the shelves being empty back here, but not just empty, just knowing that at the end of the day or at the end of this project that most of the trays will be emptied. I know I will have seeds left just because of the nature of how many I grew, but that's okay. The good part is that most of the stuff will be in the ground. And of course, having more plants is always better than having less plants. It gives you more options and more flexibility. So I cannot wait to see what happens on this day. I cannot wait to see how the garden transforms, since we have not been in it since literally like last October. And so it's going to be a good day. And I'm glad that you're here for the ride. Okay, so you can see we got the truck loaded up as much as we possibly could. I still have plants over there. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I still have 12 trays over there. And so what I tried to do is, you saw me giving them the ones to my husband. I was trying to select the ones that I knew for a fact that I needed down there. What you didn't see is on a couple of days ago, I tried to organize as much as I could. Like I put all the peppers together. And then also we actually took some trays down there a couple of days ago. So I do have some trays that's already down there. So what you see today, I still have more down there. So we got a lot of plants. Because remember, we grew like over 1,200 plants. So I was trying to select the ones that I knew for a fact that we were going to do. There's still some of that I see over here that I still need to take down there. I'll try to take those in my truck, but that just makes it easy when he can just pull back here and we can load it up as much as possible. So what I did to kind of organize is like I said, I tried to categorize as much as I possibly could because they're all in different I have mixed trays, and it's hard, it's hard to not have mixed trays when you're up potting. Things are at different stages, but I at least try to put all my peppers together. All the tomatoes are together. And then I have a tray of flowers. And so that's going to make it a little bit easier as well. But let me tell you about the planting party. Basically, this started about, I think this is our 4th year. This started with 2 of my friends saying, hey, we'll come help you plant the garden. Now, keep in mind, these friends do not garden. They're just friends of mine. And they thought it would be cool to come out here and plant the garden because, I don't know, I mentioned it. And they said, we'll come out here and help you. And they did. And so to me, I thought that was a one-time thing. We had a good time. And like I said, they don't even garden at all. But they had such a good time. And so the next year they were like, hey, when is the planting party? I'm like, oh. And so it became a thing. It became a thing. And so over the last 2 to 3 years, it has expanded. Like last year, we had like 10 people out here. Today, we're only going to have the faithful 4, it started with 2, and then it went to 2 more the next year. And those are the ones that have come every single year. Again, just friends of mine that come out here and help me out of the goodness of their heart. And I'm so very thankful. And so I'm so very, very thankful. And so today, the numbers are very small compared to what we had last year. We had like 10 people last year, and y'all, they knocked it out. And we had some younger people as well. And so they knocked it out. I think they planted the whole garden in like 4 hours. Now today, I don't know if we'll get the whole thing done just because it's going to be a limited number of people, but that is a-okay. I'm going to take the help and we're going to have a good time. And so I would encourage you, if you have some friends or people in your neighborhood, and again, your space may not be as big as mine, so you may not need to have a lot of people to come and help you. But even if you have a decent sized space, I think it'll be good for you to have your own planting party. Invite people to come and help you plant the garden. And of course, they can be the first one for deals when it comes to summer veggies or whatever. So I think that's a really cool, good idea. You could do it with your church members. You could do it with your family. You could do it with your sorority or fraternity, or like sisters and brothers. I mean, the options are endless. And like I said, these individuals that come and help me out, they do not garden, right? I think a couple of them may have some stuff like on a patio or a deck or just on a small scale, but they're not what you would consider like massive gardeners. They literally are just coming to help me out as a friend, and we have a really, really good time in the process. So I'm really excited about today. Now, let me talk to you about why today and how some of it may not be ideal of us planting today, but the reason why I'm going to do it anyway. Now, the weather has been extremely volatile here in Tennessee. We normally plant the summer garden usually the last week of April. Now, we were out of town, so we were not able to do it We were not able to do it then. And so this is the time that we can do it and the time that we have help. Next weekend is Mother's Day weekend. And so I definitely will not ask anybody to come on Mother's Day weekend. And then after that, I'm going to be out of town. And so I was left between a choice of, hey, not doing it today, and then just me planting it all by myself, which would take several days for me to plant 4,000 square feet by myself, or to take the help and to take the risk. And what I mean about risk, the temperatures have been volatile. So last night, like when we woke up this morning, it was 43 degrees, right? Now tonight, it's going to be 48. And for the next 3 or 4 nights, it's going to be above 50, between 50 and 55, which is great. And then it dips back down again to like 47, 48. So again, not ideal, but it is what I'm working with, right? And the truth be told, these plants have already been outside at these temperatures. I told you about that when we went to Houston for a week. They were outside and we had similar temperatures and they seem to be doing fine. Like they're not dead, they're alive, they're healthy. It may stunt their growth, but let me tell you what I've decided this morning. I'm going to leave that in the hands of the Father, right? That means God himself. God himself is the master gardener. And what these plants are about to go do, they're about to obey his command. That's what's about to happen, okay? And so I have prayed about it. I have peace, and these plants are being affected today and going into the ground, and they will be under the Lord's command. Because if he said you shall live and not die, you shall live and not die. That is the promise, and that's what I'm holding on to. Now, keep in mind, you may be in a similar situation where you're like, man, my stuff is still on the inside. I don't want to plant my stuff out and it's 45 degrees at night. That is a-okay. You do what is best for your garden, for your schedule, and for your time. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I really, at this point, when I say I don't have a choice, the choice would be is for me to do it all by myself, and I'm not willing to do that, nor do I have the time or the physical ability to try to plan it all myself. I certainly could not do it in 3 or 4 hours. But all of the bending, I mean, we're probably talking like close to 500 holes of planting. I'm not going to sign up to do that by myself. Now, 5 years ago, better, but not today. And so for me, this was the best opportunity. This is when people could help. And so I'm going to take the help. And again, truth be told, they've already been outside in these temperatures. And also, truth be told, even more is that we were not going to bring them back inside the house. So if they're going to be out here anyway, they might as well just go in the ground and we're going to pray over it and it's going to be a-okay. They shall live and not die. Watch and see the Lord work this situation out. Now, if you want to ride on my faith and put yourself out, you go right ahead. But if you don't have faith, then don't do it. You know, you do it when it's comfortable for you. Remember, this channel is all about my journey. And again, if it does not go well, right, I'm the one that's going to have to deal with that versus that's why you're in charge of your own garden, right? Your garden, your results, your consequences, okay? But today, y'all, let's get to it. So one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to meet my husband down at the thing, and we're going to get a little bit more organized. We're going to get our amendments set up. We're going to make sure that we have gloves, we have tags, we have labels, all the things. So I'll meet you down at the high tunnel. So after we unloaded both trucks with all of the plants and put them out on the table, the next step was for me to work on the actual compost and amendments that's going to go in each hole. So in our in-ground space, we have landscape fabric down that already has holes in it. And so we don't pull up that paper every year. We just amend at each hole site. And so if you're new to gardening, amend just meaning we add nutrients to the soil of whatever nutrients it's lacking. So in this wheelbarrow, I have compost, and then I'm adding in nutrients. And the nutrients that I'm adding in are specific to my soil. So I had a soil test done, and I am deficient in nitrogen as well as potassium. So what you see me adding are nutrients specifically for those. Now, depending on the soil that you have, you may add something completely different. That's why I always encourage you to do a soil test. But I've added in all of the nutrients, and I'm just mixing it in all together so that hopefully when we put a scoop of it or whatever in the hole, it's getting a little bit of everything. And I probably added a total of 5 or 6 things. My soil is very, very deficient in nitrogen. It's like very, very low. And so when it came to nitrogen, I added an amendment that was a fast release, and then I also added a nitrogen amendment that was slow release. So it's going to kind of hit it from both ends. So the fast release is going to go to the plants immediately, and the slow release is going to release over time over the next 3 to 6 months. So I kind of hit it from both angles. And so again, depending on your soil test and the results, it'll kind of determine what you do. Now, I did a video probably about a couple of weeks ago talking about using all-purpose fertilizer and how that's not the best thing for your garden. And I also in that video talked about the soil guide that I launched about how to have healthy soil. So if you're confused or need more information about what to add to your soil, how to amend your beds, I highly encourage you that you go back and watch that video. And I highly encourage you to buy that digital course, not digital course, it's a digital guidebook about how to build healthy soil. It's 60 pages, and I'll walk through what to add to your soil, depending on what it's deficient in, and just how to build healthy soil overall. My husband is blowing out the garden, making sure that it's all nice and clean. And so we are almost ready, I think, to get this party started. Hey, y'all, I think we are ready. Now we're just waiting on our friends to get here. So you've seen us. We've unloaded both trucks with plants. I still have to get plants from my high tunnel that I brought down here a couple of days earlier. I have the compost and the amendments ready. And so what'll happen is we'll bring that wheelbarrow inside the high tunnel. I have 2 pots so that they can fill up their pots with the compost and the amendments and take that to their row where they're going to plant, instead of us trying to get the wheelbarrow in between the rows. And they'll just come and refill as needed. So with the compost and the amendments, like I said, we'll do that in each hole. Because we have the landscape fabric down, we don't pull up the fabric and lay all that stuff down. We just amend each hole. That's how we normally do it, and that works out really, really well. So I'm going to go back over the plan and then start staging stuff. And so one of the things, one of my friends recently had surgery, so she's not going to be able to do a lot of bending and using her arm to plant. And so she will be my label maker to make sure that we have labels and that things are in the right row and all of that. So I'm going to kind of get some organization and kind of start laying some stuff out. And I see them pulling up right now. So a lot of this, guys, I will probably have to voice over just because planting day is hectic. Oh my goodness, it's hectic, but it's a fun time. So keep coming along for the ride, and I'll keep you posted. So my friends have arrived. We're probably about an hour in or so. And so I have a group starting on this first section, which is the corn. You can see that it is coming along nicely. And then on the second row, I have one of my friends. She's starting on that row, which is going to be our pepper row. And so we don't do everything like the rows in order, but I also have another friend over to the left that you can't see, and she is the label maker. So she's making labels for all of the different plants, because when I start my seeds, I just put a label at the top of the row, and then everything below that row is the same thing. That's just how I do it. One, because I don't have time or don't want to make the time to make a label for everyone. But when I have other people helping me to plant it out in the garden, I found it easier if I can just have labels for each one. I've never done it that way, but in times past or in years past, the label the one label that we had got blown away or something like that. And so then I didn't know what variety something was. And with the plants, I know the plants usually by the way they grow just because I've been gardening for a while. But when it comes to like specific varieties like tomatoes and peppers, I like to know the variety so that way if it goes really well, I know what variety to grow again versus not. So it's more about knowing the different varieties more than knowing, hey, it's a tomato plant versus a cucumber plant. I'll know what it is by the row that it's in. And as you know, I do also have a plan off to the side typed up. So all of the rows are listed and what goes in that row as well as the number of quantities. So my person that's over here to the left that's making the labels, she's doing the exact amount and then she's kind of like building trays for the people that are actually planting in the row. So for example, if they're planting the tomato row and they need 10 Amish paste, 5 Romas, and 6 beefsteak, then she's kind of building the tray with those specific things. There'll be a label in each one. So hopefully that will go smoother. I've never done it that way, but we're trying something new. So now we're moving forward to the tomato row, and I grabbed my husband's drill and auger to go ahead and drill holes for the tomato plants. I use a drill just because I want to go very, very deep, and it's easier to do it with this versus trying to dig by hand with a trowel.
So
with tomatoes, you want to plant as deep as possible, all the way up to like the stem near the top, because tomatoes grow roots all along the stem. So the deeper you can plant it, the better it'll be for it to develop its root system pretty quickly. So
cinnamon.
I have to hand it off to my husband because somebody was calling me to do something, and then also just to make sure that I had the right bit on there. But you can see how he's digging the hole and putting it all the way down to that first little level of where the curly part is, and it makes it so much easier. The hole is deep. You can literally just pop the tomato plants in there, add your amendments, and cover it up. It just makes it really, really simple. So we kind of get into a rhythm with this. And then one of the other guys that's helping, he comes over. I dig half of the holes, and then I got called away. And then he digs the rest of them. What you see me doing here is I was digging this hole, and I hit an ant bed. It is completely covered with ants all in that hole. And so I went and got some orange essential oil that I diluted with some water, and I am sprinkling it all around that hole, which it doesn't hurt the plants, but I actually didn't even get it in the hole. I just sprinkled it on the outside of the hole where the ants were, and of course it absolutely worked. Two things that ants hate: cinnamon and orange essential oil. The orange essential oil that I use is linked in my Amazon shop. And ants hate other things too, but those two things have been very effective for me in terms of working. So y'all know that me and ants don't get along, and so my friend, he comes over here and he starts drilling behind me, but specifically in that bed or the hole where all of those ants are. They are just swarming everywhere. So we kind of finished this row up. One person kind of digs all the holes with the auger, and then I have some of my friends, they come behind and start plopping the tomato plants in there, and we pretty much get all of this row done.
Okay, so the very first row that we did, or row 1, is the corn. You can see the corn is here. This is all corn that we started from seed. It is in the ground. And my husband surprised me, and he put drip lines in the corn. If you remember this space right here, the holes are 6 inches apart. This is only the second year we've done corn in this space, because we used to do it on the other side of the garden where the holes were 18 inches apart. But now we do it much closer together, and it works out beautifully. But we did not have drip lines in here because of the way the hole spacing was. But he went ahead and put drip lines in for me, which is great. And then at the back of the corn, last year we did okra, but this year I did sunflowers. You can see my little tag there. These are metal tags, actually from Greenstock. So if you like those, you can get them on the Greenstock garden page. And remember, they have a sale going on now. Use my code LFF10. But I have sunflowers growing behind that. So this will be what we call the tall row. It'll have corn that's tall, and then we'll have sunflowers that's tall. I have a special thing in mind for the sunflowers that I'll talk about probably in another video. Then the row over, we got planted halfway, and these are our non-spicy peppers. We have some marigolds in between, but we have peppers and going pretty much, I would say 75% of the way down. Stops about right here. So I have to buy some more peppers because y'all, I do not have enough peppers, which is strange. I don't have enough non-spicy peppers. So I'm gonna have to buy some more peppers to fill up the rest of this row and put something else in this row. So that's row number 2. So this is row 4. And in this row, we have okra. And I'm gonna tell you what I did with the okra. And then behind the okra, we have some green beans that we did from seed. Now you guys saw that I actually did some green beans that I'm gonna try to transplant, but with these we just direct sowed the green beans and see if they pop up. And then behind the green beans, we have some eggplant. And then we have a couple of squash that somebody has already tried to come out here and bite. Look at that. That's okay, we got more. And then the rest of this row needs to be done as well. We have some more green beans down there. And then the other row that we got in was our tomatoes. This entire row got put in as well, which is great. And you guys saw us using the drill auger to get that in as well. Let me tell you a couple of things that I'm doing differently. So remember I was going back and forth about whether or not I was going to do okra. So I've had a evolution of okra over the years. The very first time I did okra, I actually did it in my tunnel in a raised bed. That did not do well. And that could have just been I was new at gardening and didn't know what I was doing. I'm not going to say that it doesn't grow in a tunnel or in a raised bed. And then the year after that, I did it in the ground and I did like 25 of them. And y'all, that was way too many because we know that okra is a diva, okay? Okra, you have to pick every single day. And I can't compete with okra. So then I started doing less and less. I think one year I did 12 or 10, 12 and then 10 last year. And so this year I think I did 6 or 8. I can't remember how many we put in the ground, maybe 8. Just because I'm figuring out that we don't eat okra as much as, we're just not eating it as much. And so I don't want to grow as much. And I think this year what I'm going to try is to see if I can pre-bread it before I put it in the freezer and freeze it that way. Because I think that will help me use it more. Because when I think about when I go into my freezer and I'm getting ready to cook dinner, let's say I need a green vegetable, when I see the okra, I'm like, ooh, that sounds good. But in my mind, it's just an extra step because I got to bread it and all that because my husband's not going to eat it if it's not breaded. Now, I can eat it roasted and it doesn't bother me at all, but he only wants it fried if he's going to eat it. And so that's just like an additional step that I'm like, on the day of, I'm like, I don't have time to do that. And so what happens is the okra just sits in my freezer. Now I can freeze dry and I do like it as a snack. So the okra that I have left, I'm going to go ahead and freeze dry it and just use that as a snack. It's really good. Just put some salt on it and it's really, really tasty. I can eat it like that and it doesn't bother me at all. But in order to not be wasteful, I'm just deciding that I'm not going to grow as much. And plus, it's just hard to keep up with. But we did go ahead and put some okra in the ground. So that's one thing that I did differently. And then I changed the location of it just because I wanted to put the sunflowers behind the corn, and the sunflowers can grow much closer together. They don't have to be 18 inches apart. You can grow sunflowers 4 to 6 inches apart. So that works out great. The other thing that I'm doing different is that I am doing squash and zucchini, but I'm doing a whole lot less than I've done in the past. Squash and zucchini is not usually one of our big sellers. I'm not sure why, and of course that could always change. But in terms of us using it, I also realize that I like it better fresh, especially when it comes to squash. So what I've noticed is that I will freeze the squash and I will use it, but I don't get excited about using it. The texture changes and it's not as, and even though it's soft when you saute it, to me it's just a little bit more watery and it doesn't taste as good as it is when it's fresh and you're sauteing it or roasting and things like that. So because of that, I don't know that I really want a ton of squash in my freezer to last me for the whole year.
And that's one of the things, as you continue to grow food and you continue to experiment with how you preserve food, whether it's through freezing, dehydrating, or freeze drying, you will figure out, okay, what your family prefers and what state to eat it. And then you'll be able to gauge how much you need to do in your garden based on how much you're consuming it. And so for the squash and zucchini, I used to do a whole row, pretty much about 75 feet of squash and zucchini, which was a lot. And again, I just prefer it fresh. Now, when it comes to the zucchini, I will shred that and I will freeze dry it. And then I can put that in lasagna and breads and things like that. And so that doesn't bother me to have an excess of zucchini. And I actually prefer the taste of zucchini over, I prefer the taste of squash cooked over zucchini. So that's what I'm doing there. I'm doing a lot less. I think I'm doing, on my plan, I have 8 for the first succession. The other thing that I'm doing differently is that I'm actually spreading out my squash and zucchini. What I normally have done always is that when I've done it in ground, I've put it in the same row. You guys know, if you live in the South, you struggle with squash bugs. I have done all the things. I think the squash bugs are just gonna come. I have not found any resource, tool, or anything to keep the squash bugs away. And so what I've traditionally done is that I just succession plant. I get my first round, and while it's going good, we're good. Once the squash bugs come, I rip it out and I just plant new. But one of the things I'm going to do this year is I'm going to actually put it in different spaces in the garden. So I think I have 8, and so I have like 2 in a row. That's it. And it may be at the head of one row, and the zucchini may be in the next row, but at the head. And so I saw that on somebody's Instagram, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try that. What it does, or what the hope is that because they're not all clumped together, and you only have 2 at a time, then hopefully you won't lose your whole crop. And then 2, it almost kind of confuses the pests because there's not going to be a bunch of it in one space. So I'm trying that. I'm going to see how it works, and I'll keep you posted. So that's kind of what we've done differently so far. So what is left to do? We got 4 more rows. I'm just going to jump in. Let me go look at my garden plan and see where I want to start, and I'll keep you following along.
So if I didn't mention, this is actually the next day that I came out here by myself, and my friends at the planting party, they got us about 50% there. So out of the 8 rows, they got 4 rows planted, and so the rest is up to me to get it done. So I start with this row right here that has a trellis, and this row is going to be my purple hull peas, rattlesnake beans, and more tomatoes. So I start with the purple hull peas. The purple hull peas I actually pre-soaked ahead of time just to make it a little bit easier for them to germinate. Remember, last year I did not have a good purple hull year at all, but every year before then I've had an amazing purple hull year, and this was the first year since I started doing purple hull peas that we did not have enough to last us for the year. Like, I'm already out of purple hull peas, and I've been out for months. And let me tell you, I'm feeling the pain. And so I am hopeful and prayerful that this year will be a great year, and we will have purple hull peas that'll last us for the whole year. I absolutely love purple hull peas. It's a protein and a great bean to have with dinner and stuff. So I usually will serve it with some type of rice, a protein, and a vegetable, and we're good to go. So I absolutely love that. Now, many people have asked me what's the difference between the black-eyed peas and purple hull peas. If you've never tasted purple hull peas, to me they're a little bit of a more mild flavor than black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas to me has a very distinct black-eyed pea taste, versus the purple hull is a bit milder. And I like both, but I just enjoy the purple hull peas more. They thrive in heat and sun, and they do climb. So you do need a trellis, but if you live in an area that has that gets really hot and humid, like in the South, they will do very, very well. And like I said, I've always had great success with them, except last year. For whatever reason, I'm not sure what happened. Also, last year I had a huge problem with germination. I get these seeds primarily from Baker's Creek. We already know how I feel about them. And so when I am planting them out today, remember I pre-soaked them to hopefully easily germinate, but then also I'm putting like 3 in each hole to kind of help ensure that I get germination. And I think with whatever I have left over, I'm going to start as seeds that I can transplant out in case I don't have good germination. I had never ever thought before about starting purple hull peas as plants until I was down in Texas at that nursery, and they were selling cowpeas, which is similar, as plants. And I'm like, well, let's try it. So that's what we'll do. So I just kind of move on down the line, do the purple whole peas, and then right behind that I do rattlesnake beans, which rattlesnake beans are one of my favorites. It's a new one that I did last year. I did a very small amount. I got 1 quart jar, and I absolutely love those. So rattlesnake beans are versatile. You can eat them as a green bean, or you can let them dry. And on the inside, there's a bean that resembles like a pinto bean. It just has a very nice, creamy, soulful flavor. It's the best way I know how to describe it. So it's one of my new favorites.
Okay, guys, I would say 75% of this row done. And so the first like 30 or so slots are purple whole peas that I direct sowed. I did pre-soak the purple whole peas, and then behind that I have rattlesnake beans. I think I have 15 slots of that. Those were not pre-soaked. The remainder of the purple whole peas and the rattlesnake beans I'm going to start as seeds to have as extra in case these do not pop up. I'll just do them along where I did my green beans. I'll probably do that tomorrow and just put them in some soil and start them, and I'll have them just in case. Behind the rattlesnake beans, because I still have trellis, I'll do more tomatoes. I got plenty of tomatoes that I can do, so I'll add tomatoes to that. But I need to wait and make sure. I need to get my husband to recharge his drill so that I can make the big holes for the tomatoes. So that's not done yet. So we're going to go over to the next row where there's a half a trellis. That row is going to be all flowers. But in that row, I have a half of a trellis. And so I'm going to do some cucumbers there in between the flowers. So let's go ahead and do the cucumbers first. That'll give us a quick win. I think it's on like 7 or 8 spots. So we're going to head over there now.
Okay, so we have this half a trellis in this row. I think this just happened one year. We had extra tomato plants and nowhere to put them. And then we had this piece of cattle panel left over, so I just had my husband put this half trellis in the middle of this row. So what we're going to put here are cucumbers. The particular variety that I'm doing today is called Gershwin. I've never tried that before, but I'll be honest, I've done several different kinds of cucumber varieties, and I've never had an issue with growing cucumbers. Even back to my first garden, that was one of the things that grew very well for me, and ideally, I would think that cucumbers are one of the easiest things you can grow. Now, it does have a lifespan, so I would say after about 60 days or so, you'll just notice the leaves are going to start to get browned and old, and that's fine. Because I have a long growing season, I can just rip that up and then do new cucumbers. I usually will do 2 to 3 successions of cucumbers in a summer growing season, and I grow them in all 3 spaces. So I have some here, but I also have some in my high tunnel, and then I will have some in my backyard. One of the things that I like to do in the summer is to have cucumber water every single day. And so I put fresh cucumbers and diffuse it into my water. It just gives it a light, cool taste, and it's refreshing on a hot summer day. I also did a video last year about 5 different ways that you can use up cucumbers, because if you're like me, you have more cucumbers than you can handle. I think last year we were harvesting like 100 a week. Y'all, that's a lot of cucumbers. So I've kind of scaled down how many cucumber plants I'm doing this year. If I had to do like a rough estimate, I probably normally do, I would say maybe 40 cucumber plants, and I'm definitely doing half of that, if not a little bit less. So once I finish the cucumbers, on this exact same row with the cucumbers are going to be flowers. And so I've talked about before, I rotate my crops, so I don't put it in the same place every time. So this particular row will be pretty much all flowers, and I call it my pollinator row. So because I have the space, I also do this in my high tunnel. I have a bed of flowers mostly, but in my in-ground space, I'll have a whole row that's nothing but flowers. That is for 2 reasons. One, I love, love, love flowers, and I like to be able to make flower arrangements each and every week from the flowers that I'm growing in the summer. And then the second thing, it brings, it's great for pollination. So it brings bees to my garden. It helps with pest control. It helps with many things. And so because I have the space, I'll dedicate a whole entire row to nothing but flowers. And let me tell you, I use all the flowers. And if nothing else, it just brings me so much joy, and it adds color to the space and just makes me happy when I go out to my garden and look at it.
So just to kind of wrap up how the last 2 days have panned out, y'all, it's raining out. I don't know if you can hear that. So I'm about to pop into the house. So I could not finish the footage out in the garden. But basically, y'all, we have, I would say, probably 6 out of the 7 rows planted. We still have 2 more rows to go. So we are definitely making progress. Hopefully you can hear me over this rain. My friends gave me a great head start by getting about 50% done. And over the last 2 days, I've been able to take that, I guess, another 20-25%. And so I would say 75% of the garden outside is planted now. Over the next few days, once the rain settles, it's supposed to rain for the next couple of days, then I will get it planted out little bit by little bit is how it's going to get done. But I'm so grateful that we were able to at least get it started. Oh my goodness. I'm glad that we were able to get it started, and these plants have been evicted out of my house. There are no plants in my house. I still have plenty of plants though outside in many different places. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Remember, y'all, this is all a journey. I hope that your eviction day is coming soon. Remember, it's a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.